Okay, we're just going to spend a couple of minutes just explaining the data that we've got here and what does that actually mean. As I touched on before, we've got two bits of information here. We have the refrigerant leak detection information. So that's the equipment you've got on site that's detecting for these refrigerant leak emissions. The types of systems out there, technologies vary, but that is a huge tool to help drive down that refrigerant usage. The other side is we have the refrigerant usage information. Key information that we have on here at the moment is percentage of charge and amount of refrigerant added in either pounds or kilos, depending if we're in Europe or we're in the US and other countries. Within this report, we can sort information, so we can look at worst performing assets, worst performing stalls, by simply selecting one of the columns we're going to look at and just clicking the sort option. And what we can look at straight away, without going in any more detail, is worst stall for this particular leak detection alarms over the period that we're looking at here. So a very quick tool to allow us to rank sites in terms of worst performing. This could be refrigerant leak detection alarms, or if we're looking at amount of refrigerant used over the period that we've got up here, we can see that information here. So we can quickly look at information. We also have a status side here. You can see some red and green there. That's helping on the compliance side for your refrigerant usage. So this is for EPA, CARB or F-gas in Europe, or other regulations that are coming out and more stringent rules that are coming out there. It tells you where you are on that journey. So it's a quick way of sorting through that information.
Great. Could you give a quick description of leak index and what the difference is between alert, alarm and critical?
Good point there. So the alert, alarm and critical is a function of the leak detection equipment to give an indication of the severity of the leak. As a manufacturer of refrigerant leak detection, we're trying to pinpoint low-level leaks, the small ones that contribute to ongoing leakage that are very difficult to find and work on. So the alert, alarm and critical is working around that theory. So the alert is ppm values really from as low as 1 ppm up to around 40 to 50 ppm. The alert levels are anything from 40 up to 200 ppm, and the critical are really the high level leaks, so that's anything from 500 ppm or greater. They could be your catastrophic leaks, etc. So it allows us to really look down at the small leaks, the ones that are leaking all the time, that are contributing to that leakage rate, and if we can capture those, we can hopefully reduce your refrigerant usage by capturing those early before they move into the alarm and critical state.
Yeah, great.
The leak index is a weighting factor. It allows us to normalise the sites dependent on the number of sample points on there. So if you have sites with just 2 or 3 sample points and a site that has 16 or 17, if we have the same number of alarms, it would make looking at them a little bit more difficult. So we're trying to normalise that, like using the square footage for energy, so we can rank them accordingly.
Right, so a site with a lot of leak detection will have a lower leak index for the same number of alarms as one with less sample points.
You've got it, that's exactly what we're trying to do, to add some intelligence to those factors rather than just raw numbers.
Great, makes sense to me.
The other side is then the refrigerant usage. The three bits of information that we have here are the amount of refrigerant used over the period that we're showing up here. So that's the raw amount that's been added by your maintainer or your on-site team as part of the topping up process. The percentage of charge is basically the amount of refrigerant that you've used against your total in-train volume for that site. So that gives you your leakage rate, or your percentage of charge. And obviously the percentage of charge is a key factor when you're looking at reducing your refrigerant usage across your estate, and you probably have targets that you're looking to achieve through that. The final column, as we just touched on before, is status. That's really around the compliance side of things, so that's ensuring that are we within certain rules for EPA, F-gas or CARB, or we getting near breaching those, so we need to do some chasing around to make sure that we're in a good position there. So it's a tool to help refrigerant usage and compliance side of things.
Great, thanks Jason.
Okay.